Welcome ladies and gentlemen to the Motive Racing YouTube channel. We are here for the 5th round of the GT3s on Assetto Corsa Competizione on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 platforms here on our Sunday evening. Regular start 6 PM UK time. We've got 20 cars out on track tonight, so it looks like we're in for a bit of a treat. And it's currently Katie setting the pace. Katie's our airline pilot, races, he's our perennial reserve here on ACC actually at Motive. Races when he can, isn't always here as he's always away travelling being an airline pilot, but he's here tonight here at Paul Ricard, and we've seen him here at Paul Ricard actually in the GT4s at the start of the season. I believe it was, no it wasn't actually, no he didn't race it in the GT4s, I do apologise. No, Katie has raced a couple of races in the GT3s, yeah, no, I don't think he's raced at Paul Ricard here at Motive before, so this is going to be an interesting one to see how he's going to get on. He's usually the quickest man out there. He usually wins him, I'd say pretty much every race I've seen him in, he's won. So at the moment he's got 0.7 of a second of a gap at the top of the leaderboard, so he's really getting the pace down. At the moment is Katie, driving in the number 737, but 737 being the plane that he flies. That's his weapon of choice in the skies, and he reps the number on the track as well. Currently got Quadeos at MP2, 0.7 off at the pole time, the reigning champion of the GT3s. We'll be looking to try and upstage Jonathan Reed this time out. Jonathan has had the lion's share of it over the last couple of weeks. We saw him obviously taking the win last week at Misano, and the week before that he did take the win at Monza as well in the wet. So Jonathan Reed's on a little bit of a run here at Motive in these GT3s in that number 8 Bentley. Always seems to go well in the wet, but he's solid in the dry as well. But Quadeo knows that he really needs to gain some points on Jonathan tonight if he is to retain that GT3 crown. SD12 in P4 at the moment in the number 12 McLaren. You've got Maroon, SMT Maroon in 5th. Has had a good showing since he joined the league a couple of weeks ago at Misano. So if it was Hungary we were at last week, that was where Jonathan took his 3rd win in a row. So Jonathan on a hat-trick tonight. Can he repeat the goods once again here at Paul Ricard? That's the big question. But yeah, Maroon currently in 5th place. He's just been pushed down a position there as we see Lightblade go up into 3rd place. Lightblade doing a lovely lap there, driving in the number 7 tonight. That's a bit of an interesting one. He usually sports the 777, but tonight he's gone for just number 7, so I wonder what that's in aid of. Maybe he's had a change of heart, don't know, but he's gone on P4 for the time being. Jonathan's just come up to the P2 there. He's got within 0.2 of a second of Katie, so Jonathan Reed absolutely flying out there right now. Beautiful lap there from Jonathan. Very impressive stuff indeed there from the man in the Bentley. So we got SD12 in 5th place at the moment, then Maroon in 6th. G Tazkowski currently running in 7th place in this qualifying session right now. Just under 2 seconds off for the pole time being set by Katie. deedeeTKU in P8 with Spuzz 9th. There's Funny Guy currently running in the mid spot at the moment, P10, as he's coming up towards the line to complete this latest lap that he's on. Doesn't improve for the time being. Scuderia Paul just leaving the pits now. John Jig in the pits. SMT Tom Peaker sat in P13. Then we got Nilsson, who's also sat in the pits. Looks like he's just making some adjustments to the setup, maybe trying to get his car in the optimum range to go for a crack at a top 10 spot here in this session. We've got Morphy, otherwise known as Ferenc, currently running in 15th in this qualifying session. Lord Ash Wilson joining back to the Discord server tonight, racing as a reserve as well. Good to have him back out on track in the number 18 Ferrari. We've got Rompu in P17, one of our regulars here at Motive. Zaloba in 18th, and Evan and I'm Suching up 2 reserves for tonight. Still yet to set a lap time in this session for now. Just want to apologise to everybody on the stream. Not feeling great tonight. Hopefully it's not coming across too badly, but yeah, really not with it at the moment. I've been feeling like absolute death the last couple of days, so just trying my best to got to narrate this stream as much as I can. I know that it's obviously not much fun for the drivers who take part in these races to watch the stream back and in silence, so you know, I'll be giving it my best to try and provide the best backing track for this action that we see out on track. But yeah, it's not going to be the best from me tonight, I'll have to say. KD currently sat in the pits at the moment. The provisional pole sitter clearly thinks he's done enough, but Jonathan Reed's still on one right now, and he's going to get a couple of laps in, including the one that he's on right now. He's got a bit of traffic in front of him. I think that's Nilsson just ahead of him. No, it's not Nilsson. I'm so incompetent. No, I'm going to stop guessing. But Jonathan Reed currently with 2/10 to find in this session. He's on a bit of a roll here at Motive. He's won the last 2 races. He took the win at Hungary last Sunday, and also took the win at Misano the week before that. So he's looking to try and make it 3 in a row if he can. I believe Jonathan Reed is the leader in the championship as well. I'm going to pull up those championship standings actually, because that will give us a little bit of context as to what's going on in this season. Let's pull those up if we can. See if we've got an up-to-date table. If not, then it's no stress. Oh yep, looks like it's up to date. So we got Jonathan leading the championship by quite some way at the top of this leaderboard. He's taken 3 wins in a row already. He's on for his 4th win if he wins tonight, but he's going to be hard pushed to do that with Katie at the top of that leaderboard. But Jonathan's coming out of the final corner now. Can he find a couple of tenths here and go top spot in this leaderboard? Up towards the line he comes. Can't improve on this lap. He'll get one more go to try and get pole position away from Katie though. But Jonathan has taken almost maximum points from the last 3 races. Took the fastest lap at Monza and also took the fastest lap at Hungary. Didn't get the fastest lap at Misano, which is the only thing that's really cramping his style in his efforts to get maximum points over the last 3 races. That's the one round that's letting him down, is that he didn't get fastest lap at Misano. Not fastest lap, I mean pole position, sorry. Not fastest lap, pole position. Didn't get the bonus point for pole position at Misano, but he did at Hungary, and he also got it at Monza. But we know that KD's going to be on form tonight. KD, as we've said before, always goes strong whenever he makes reserve appearances here at Motive, so Jonathan's going to have his work cut out. Cordeo's cut the gap to the top 2 a little bit. He's gone up into, well, he's already in 3rd place, but he's closed the gap now. He's only 4/10 off of KD's fastest time, so Cordeo clearly he's put in the work around here. We know he's quick. He was able to take the fight to Cheese Monkey around this track in the GT4s at the start of this season, and Cheese Monkey incredibly fast in the GT4s. So when you factor that in, Cordeo doing a very good job around this circuit. He clearly likes it, and looks like he could be in contention for a win tonight for sure. Lightblade is currently sat in 4th place in this session. He's 8/10 off for the fastest time, being set by KD. And Lightblade always does well whenever he jumps in as a reserve. Seems like he's on some decent pace at the moment. Jumped in the Porsche Cup on Monday night and did a very, very impressive job. Took the fight to Will Friedman in the feature race, but unfortunately for him did get a drive-through penalty towards the end. He'll be hoping that he doesn't get any such penalties tonight. Also took part in the GT4s on Wednesday night at Barcelona and had a great little battle with Cordeo, and it looks like at the moment he's going to be starting alongside Cordeo, so it looks like they're going to rekindle that little rivalry that they had on Wednesday, as it appears that Maroon, SD12, Lord, Wilson, Didi, Evan, Tom Pegan, in fact everybody from 5th down to 13th all in the pits. Evan's done a good job tonight, racing as a reserve in P9. Lord Wilson even better, P7 there, great job from him in that number 18 Audi. No, sorry, Ferrari, I'm looking at the wrong car there. That's embarrassing. But Scuderia Paul's still out there at the moment. He's driving in the Bentley out of the final corner. Let's see what he can put on the board here. A little bit twitchy onto the curb as he comes out onto the start-finish straight. Let's see what he can put on the board here. He He takes a checkered flag and it's not an improvement there for him, stays in P14. And it looks like the session is done. I think Lightblade managed to just pip Quadeo for third place there at the end of that session, so it's looking like it's going to be a pretty exciting race here. KD on pole, but Jonathan Reed only 2/10 behind Lightblade and Quadeo, both of them 4/10 of a second of the pole man, so we're in for an absolute treat here, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's going to be a very exciting race here for round 5 of the GT3s at Motive. So KD on pole with Jonathan Reed alongside him on the front row. We're going to have Lightblade and Quadeo on the second row, then Maroon, SD12 Dash, Lord Ash Wilson as a reserve tonight, great job from him. Didi, our regular in the GT3s in 8th, with Evan and Tom Peaker in 9th and 10th places. G Taskowski in 11th, OPT Funny Guy alongside him on the 6th row. And we're going to have Spuzz, Scuderia Paul, John Jig racing as a reserve, decent job from him, P15. Ahead of Nilsson, our regular, also Rompu not having a session, doesn't seem to really like this track very much. Rompu usually up in the top 10, but tonight doesn't appear to be his night so far. We've got Morphe in 18th spot, SMT Zalova in 19th, and I'm Such a Nub, one of our reserves tonight, also racing out of P20 for the start of this one. We're going to go to a very short break here, ladies and gentlemen, whilst we get the race underway. Will be about 2 minutes, and we'll have that on for you in just a second. So sit tight, and we'll see you on the other side of this.
And I can't seem to find a light between the walls I built for myself right in my mind. And then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. Now, when I got you, it's all gonna be alright. Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you and I. Just you and I. mind. And all I need right now is for you to stay the night. But if you keep saying that you've got to leave, then I'm gonna be alright. As long as you tell me that we ain't running out of time. Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you and I. Just you and I. Only you will find around. You turn it all around. You can lift me off the ground. So we can fly again. So we can fly again.
Here we go then, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to go racing here at Paul Ricard for the 5th round of the GT3s on ACC here at Motive Racing on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, and it's green, 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 we are racing here. Katie gets a good bite, Jonathan Reed likewise, light blade there, trying to hold off Credeo up towards turn 1, they're going to be slightly side by side as Credeo is trying to get around the outside, can't do it, light blade holds on for now, in towards turn 1 they come, as Lightblade's still got that inside. I think he might just be able to fend him off here as they're side by side down towards turn 3. Maroon there in 5th place just behind ST12 Dash, trying to keep Lord Ash Wilson behind him there. Dee has just been passed around the outside there by Evan. Evan's got himself up into 8th place. Tom Pika goes wide and loses out a little bit, but stays ahead of G Tazkowski for the time being. We've just got the timing board doing its little dance that it always does at the start of the race there, but Katie leads ahead of Jonathan Reed right now. Lightblade 3rd with Credero, Maroon, ST12 Dash, Lord Ash Wilson in 7th, Evan 8th, and deedeeTKU. Tom Pika currently running in P10. G Tazkowski's got looks like he has got OPT Funny Guy. OPT Funny Guy's dropped off actually. I don't know what's happened to OPT Funny Guy there. Has he made a mistake? He's now dropped a little way back here. Or I don't know, we'll find out once the timing board updates itself there, but I think he's out of position there, as we've got a big pack of cars currently fighting it out over 8th spot here, but side by side up towards the end of the back straight. Look at that, DD ever so wide, Tom Pika and Funny Guy also doing the same. Scooter Air Paul there running in 12th place. He's got G-Taskowski, Spuzz, Morphy, Zaloba, Jonjig there going up the inside of Zaloba as Zaloba gets a little bit sideways coming through that corner. They're still side by side as they bang doors a little bit, but in the end Zaloba actually holds off Jonjig there. Morphy running it on the back of G-Taskowski and Spuzz at the moment. But Katie leads by 1/10 of a second ahead of Jonathan Reed. Jonathan's been hounding and hassling him over the course of this first lap, and Lightblade's following them as well. In fact, Credeo, Maroon in close contention here. Maroon's trying to make the move on Credeo here, coming down the start-finish straight. Is he going to be able to make this move here in towards turn 1 as we're coming up onto the brakes now? And it looks as though Maroon is going to not quite be able to get that done there. Credeo just covering off that inside line, coming through turn 2 and holds on to the position for now. SD12 Dash just watching this unfold in front of him. Katie still leads ahead of Jonathan. Lightblade in hot pursuit. These two have just fallen off at the top 3 a little bit whilst they've been scrapping it out. Evan there in 7th place with Lord Ash Wilson just behind him. These two reserves flying high so far in this one. Tom Pika running in 9th place there. OPT Funny Guy onto the back of him in the final top 10 spot at the moment, as we just saw a little bit of a bumper to bumper action quite literally coming through there between Tom Pika and Funny Guy, but they're keeping it clean for the time being. Scooter Air Paul, DD, G-Taskowski, then we've got Spuzz, Morphy, Zaloba and Jonjig, and Rompu currently batting it out over 17th and 18th place. Nilsson has just dropped off the back a little bit over this first lap. Don't know what happened to him on that first lap, but he seems to have fallen back a little bit. Did start in P16, he's now down in P19 here in this race. But Katie's starting to open up a little bit. He's got a second over Jonathan Reed, the man who's won the last 3 races, currently sat in second here. Lightblade on the back of him. We've got Credeo, Maroon, SD12 Dash there just behind these, currently sat in 6th spot. A second and a half back to Evan, who's managed to shake off Lord Ash Wilson. Tom Pika, Funny Guy running in 10th. There's Scooter Air Paul with D and G-Taskowski still very close on the back of him. Spuzz in that train. Morphy, in fact, hold on a second. Has DD fallen back behind them? I think he has. I don't know. It's difficult to tell because the timing board not updating itself until ages after something's happened. But I think DD's dropped a couple of positions there. We'll have to wait and see once the timing board updates. But I think he might be down in P14. It says he's P12, but I think that's P14. But they're coming up towards the line to complete their second lap of the race. And yeah, P14, DD did lose a couple of positions there. Timing board not really on the ball. But at the moment, Katie has the lead by 1.5 seconds over Jonathan. Lightblade running in P3, 6/10 off of the back of those two. You've got Credeo, Maroon, really close on the back of Credeo, still can't find a way through. Tom Pika still putting the pressure on Funny Guy, and this has allowed Paul and G-Taskowski to close up onto them as well. DD still very close on the back of Spuzz, having lost a couple of positions on the previous lap. He's still keeping himself there, and Morphy and Jonjig and Morphy running just behind these guys in 15th and 16th spots. Zaloba and Rompu still battling it out as well, and Nilsson's now closed up onto the back of Rompu a little bit. Look at that, he's now got less than a second to him, so Nilsson's recovered a bit of time since that first lap skirmish for him, and he's now in contention here for maybe for maybe 15th spot here as he's pulling up onto this train of cars. But Katie's pulled out 1.5 seconds of a gap so far here in this one, so Katie's starting to get the pace down and starting to exert his dominance on this field. We've seen Katie do this many times here at Motive. He very, very rarely doesn't win races, I've got to say. Yeah, pretty much every time he's racing he wins. So once again, I mean, we're seeing him really setting the world alight here tonight at Paul Ricard. Jonathan Reed still sat in P2. He's got 4/10 back to Lightblade at this point. 1/3 second back to this man Credeo. Maroon in 5th, and 1/3 second back to SD12 Dash, who's sat in that 6th spot at the moment. Evan running running in 7th. Lord Ashwilson keeping him on his toes here. Lord Ashwilson's closed in a little bit on Evan over the course of this lap, although Evan did gain a 10th back on that last sector there. These guys are a long way ahead of Funny Guy. Tom Peake has dropped back here, and what's happened to Djphil-green? Djphil-green's lost a few positions there. He's now done in P15, so he's lost out to, in fact he's down to no further than that. He's lost out to Rompu as well, so Djphil-green in P16 must have made a catastrophic error coming out of that last corner. He's dropped well out of it there. Jonathan's got Lightblade and Quideo in hot pursuit. Maroon's still on the back of Quideo, still can't get away around him, up into 4th place. Seems like the Ferrari more than a match for the Bentley down those straights, and Maroon is unable to get anything done with the reigning champion of the GT3 division so far in this race. But considering it's Katie out the front, it's pretty close here in these early stages. You've got 3 seconds between, about 4 seconds between the top 5, so at this point in the race, Katie not running away with it. He's got just under a couple of seconds to Jonathan after 8 minutes of this race, but that's by no means in a world of his own at all. Quideo a 10th of a second ahead of Maroon at this point. Lightblade still really putting the pressure on Jonathan, but these two are going to be hoping that they can keep touch with Katie and just keep themselves in striking distance of the race leader. They're not going to be wanting to fight each other too hard at this point, because they know that if they end up tangling or tripping over each other, then that's only going to affect their ability to close in on the leader. So at this point, I'm sure Lightblade's pretty content to just sit there and just bide his time and wait for the opportunity to present itself, as Quideo's still running just ahead of Maroon, further 1.6 back to SD12 Evan running in that P7 there, 2.7 seconds off of the back of SD12 He's gained a bit on Lord Ashwilson over the course of this lap. The gap now 1.7. Funny Guy there, sat in 9th place, 3 seconds off of the back of Ash. Then you've got Scuderia Paul running in P10, bit of a gap back to Tom Peake in 11th, deedeeTKU 12th. In fact, no, Deedee's lost out to John Jig, I think. Has he? I don't know. But Rompu there sat in at 16th spot, 8 tenths off of Djphil-green. So Djphil-green has got himself back ahead of Rompu. Obviously Djphil-green lost a few places on the last lap due to that mistake out of the last corner, but he's now gained one of those places back. He's now got 1.7 ahead of him, up to Zaloba. Nilsson's got ahead of Spuzz and Morphy, so Nilsson continuing his fight back after his first lap skirmishes. But Quideo is still keeping Maroon just behind him. Gap at the front between Katie and Jonathan now over 2 seconds. Lightblade's still keeping on the back of Jonathan for the time being. Rich says, feeling better, Andy? No, not really, mate. Not really, struggling, if I'm honest. But getting by. Just getting on with it, really. But yeah, we currently got Katie still opening up that gap at the front, 2.6 over Jonathan and Lightblade. I'm Such a Nub's picked up a drive-through penalty, so I'm not sure what that's for, but he's clearly run the track limits a little bit. It's caused the stewards to award him with a drive-through penalty, as he's just about, I think, to well, we've still got Jonathan just ahead of Lightblade right now, 6 tenths between these two. Maroon running in 4th with Quideo within half a second of him. These two 4th and 5th. OVT Funny Guy sat in 9th place. Scuderia Paul keeping him pretty close at the moment, 9 tenths between those two. Djphil-green now pulling onto the back of Zaloba here, 3 tenths between those two, so Djphil-green continuing his fight back after we saw him dropping back a couple of positions a couple of laps ago. And Spuzz is really hassling the back of Nilsson here, so Nilsson obviously made the move on him on the last lap, but Spuzz coming back at him here down towards turn 3, side by side. This for P17 in this race. Spuzz is going to get the move done on the brakes here, I think. Yes, he does. Beautifully done there from Spuzz, up into 18th place, sorry, 17th even. Jonathan's still holding on ahead of Lightblade right now. 7 tenths was but the gap last checkpoint, now it's 5 tenths, so half a second between them, and Lightblade gained 2 tenths coming through that middle sector there. Credeo within 3 tenths of Maroon. Maroon's got ahead of Credeo, but no, yes he has, he's up into 4th place there. Maroon has made the move on Credeo there. Beautifully done there from him. Scuderia Paul within 8 tenths of a second of Funny Guy at the moment, having a look to the inside. No, sorry, I mean Tom Pica. Tom Pica's got ahead of Scuderia Paul up into P10. That's what that was. You alright? Taskowski on the back of Zaloba right now, about half a tenth between those two at the previous checkpoint. Taskowski still trying to make this move if he can. As we see there, Zaloba going ever so wide out of the last corner. And Rompu's now closed up onto the back of these guys. He was 1.4 behind at the middle sector checkpoint. He's now within 3 tenths of them. So he's really made gains on this lap so far as Rompu, as now Taskowski pulls out of the slipstream, looks to the inside of Zaloba up towards turn 1. Can't get it done, as we see Zaloba all over the curbs there, bouncing over the sausage curbs on the inside of the corner, and in the end manages to hold on to the position as a result of that. So a little bit naughty there from Zaloba. He would have got a warning from the race director for that. He wants to avoid doing that too often, otherwise he'll pick up a drive through. As we see Taskowski getting the move done there on the exit at turn 4 and 5, so he's up ahead of Zaloba now, up into 14th place. And Zaloba's got Rompu and Spuz very close behind him. Nilsson on the back of this train there in P18 in this race. Lightblade's got a drive through. Oh, what a shame there for Lightblade. Must be track limits, but I can't see how, but he's picked up a drive through for track limits at this early stage in the race. So he's got to serve that within 3 laps. That's going to be a crushing blow for Lightblade being in those podium spots. Katie's got a 3-second lead right now over Jonathan. Jonathan can't quite go with Katie at this point. Jonathan and Lightblade have both gapped Maroon a little bit, but Lightblade with that drive-through penalty, it's going to drop him back quite a bit. Quideo's still on the back of Maroon here for 4th and 5th, but that will become the battle for the podium spot once Lightblade comes in, and he's doing that this lap by the looks of it. Scuderia Paul still sat in 11th spot. He's got John Jig within 2 tenths of a second of him, but these two still on the back of Tom Pica, who's running in that final top 10 spot. And Taskowski still running just ahead of Zaloba at the moment. Rompu, Spuz and Nilsson all in close contention though. The battle for 14th currently involving 5 cars here in this race. As Morphy's picked up a drive-through as well. Drive-throughs are being handed out left, right and centre tonight here at Paul Ricard. Looks like the stewards are having an absolute field day here. Evans still on the back of... No, sorry, Evans got Lord Ashwilson still on his back here. 6th and 7th places. Doing a great job here, these two, as reserves tonight. Got to take your hat off to them. They jumped in at relatively late notice, and despite that they have really risen to the occasion, so can't fault them here tonight. Guadeo within 2 tenths of Maroon coming through the previous checkpoint, but hasn't been able to get ahead of him for the time being. Katie's lead out the front, 3.5 seconds over Jonathan Reed. Evan and Lord Ashwilson still separated by just under a second. Paul still very close to the back of Tom Pica right now. John Jig also on these two. He's trying to make this a 3-way battle for P9. But John Jig looking to the outside here of Scuderia Paul, as I've just got a notice on our timing screen there that I'm Such Enough has completed his drive-through penalty. So he's now in the clear and able to continue on with his race. Slober still running in 9th place at the moment, just ahead of these two. About a second between these 3 drivers at this point. Bit of a gap back to Lightblade, who's obviously come in and served that drive through in these early stages. Was up in P3 battling it out with Jonathan Reed, but track limits violations presumably. I don't know exactly, but I assume it was track limits. Has permitted that Lightblade come into the pits and serve a drive through, so a bit of a blow for him, but he's still well within his capabilities to get a top 5 in this one, I reckon. He's going to have to really push though, but he's about 20 seconds off of a top 5 spot, so I wouldn't put it past him, honestly. I really wouldn't. Morphy's still got to serve his drive through at some point in this race. Looks like Tom Peake has pulled away a bit from Scuderia Paul. John Jig also falling off at the back of Paul, so these 3 now starting to spread out a little bit. Quideo within 3/10 of Maroon at the last checkpoint, but as you were between those two, Evans still got Lord Ash Wilson very close on the back of him. 4/10 between these 2 drivers at the moment. Katie's gap over Jonathan, 3.5 seconds. It's kind of been quite consistent over these last few laps. Maybe Jonathan starting to find a bit of a rhythm. Who knows, maybe he'll be able to take the fight to Katie over the course of this race. Maybe strategy could play a big part in this. Possibly Jonathan saving his tyres. Going to try and go to the end on one set will definitely mean that he'll have a less time in the pits. So I don't know, at this point could be wide open, but having said that, Katie did gain 7/10 through that final sector there, so he was very, very quick indeed. Katie obviously listening to us maybe, and thinking, well, got to pull my finger out now. Can't let them think that I'm not in cruise control here. Would appear that Evans picked up a drive-through penalty as well, so the drive-throughs are being handed out absolutely all over the show right now. So Lober, Morphy, Evan with a drive-through penalty. Honestly, these drive-throughs are being handed out like no tomorrow right now. Definitely not what these drivers would have wanted here tonight, but it's a bit of an uncompromising track for drive-throughs, and we've been seeing that so far. Really is a difficult one to keep it within the track limits. It's like a maze here at Paul Ricard. It's so tempting, literally it's just runoff everywhere. The temptation is real around this track, and we're just seeing that really over the course of this race. But Evan, the latest to fall foul of the track limits and face the wrath of the stewards as a result. Scuderia Paul still running in 9th place, just ahead of John Jig. John Jig's got the gap to within a second. Lightblade's got ahead of Tom Peake up into 11th, so he's continuing his fight back after his drive-through penalty in the early stages of the race. Saloba's done his drive-through. Morphy didn't do his drive-through. Oh, what a shame there for Morphy. He didn't come in and serve that drive-through penalty within that mandatory 3-lap window, so he has been disqualified from the race. That's really unfortunate there for him. As Evans pulled out a bit of a gap to Lord Ash Wilson over the course of this lap, but he does have to come in and do a drive-through, so that will definitely put a bit of a dampener on that. Maroon though running just ahead of Quideo at the moment, about just under a second between these two, or just over a second now, as Maroon's pulled out a bit of a gap coming through that final sector there on that lap. Katie's gap to Jonathan's come down a little bit there. Jonathan gained 4/10 on Katie on that last lap, so Jonathan's definitely got the pace here at the front, starting to really find a groove here, and maybe, just maybe, we might be seeing a battle on between these two for the race win. Katie usually has the races to himself in the GT3s when he jumps in as a reserve, but Jonathan's been improving race after race and been just finding little bits of extra pace around the tracks. He's been getting more experience here every Sunday evening here at Motive on ACC, and he has been improving every single time I've seen him out on track. He's been taking win after win in the absence of Katie. He's won the last 3 races here, one at Monza in the wet, took the win at the following week at Misano in the dry conditions, and then in the wet at Hungary last week he also took another win. So Jonathan proving that he can win races in just about any conditions, and right now matching the pace of the seemingly undefeatable Katie at the moment. Maroon running in the final podium spot just ahead of Quideo, just over a second between those two at this point. ST12 5 seconds behind these guys in P5. Evan, with that drive-through penalty, running in 6th place at the moment, but that he'll drop down the field like a stone once he comes in and does that drive-through. I reckon he'll probably come out around Spuzz and Rompu. That's just an estimate there. I reckon maybe Spuzz and Rompu, possibly behind them actually. Maybe between Spuzz and Rompu, Spuzz, Didi and Rompu, and I reckon he'll be ahead of Gtaskowski. He might come out around Rompu and Nilsson. We'll have to see. But Evans coming into the pits now to serve that drive-through penalty after the 3-lap window. Katie still leads, gained 4/10 on Jonathan. The gap's kind of ebbing and flowing between these two at this point. Guitar Rich asking, where did Jig qualify? That's a good question, mate. I think it was P14 or something like that. Let me just rewind, have a quick little look. Jig qualified in P13. It was P13. Oh, 15th. Oh, hold on. Maybe it was. Maybe there were a couple of changes in the last minute of quali. Yeah, P15, you're right. Just want to say a big thank you to everybody watching the stream right now. 11 people watching live on the Motive Racing YouTube channel. We've got a few watching on Facebook as well. If you guys do enjoy the action, please drop a like on the video. Let's get the stream to 11 likes, so we've got 11 people watching. Apologies if the comms tonight aren't at the usual standard. I'm not feeling very well, haven't felt good for the last couple of days, but honestly I can't watch a race and not commentate on it. It's not possible, it's too difficult. So I just have to commentate, I can't shut up. So unfortunately it's just a force of habit for me. I have to commentate if I've got a race in front of me if I'm streaming. But right now Katie is leading the race still, but Jonathan pulled the gap down a little bit, gained a 10th on him on that last lap. These two so evenly matched at this point in the race, they seem like it's just tit for tat. One lap Katie pulls out a gap, the next lap Jonathan reels it in a little bit. It's going back and forth between these two, as Maroon running in 3rd place still, currently just under 6 seconds behind Jonathan at this point. JR in the comments says boys are having a rough Paul Ricard at the minute. Yeah, it does seem like it, JR. Obviously in terms of team run DJC tonight, again I'm very sorry if I miss anyone out here, but I believe it's Lightblade, Rompu and Didi, I believe. Let me know if there's any more, JR. I think they're the 3 repping team run DJC tonight. I believe that's the case. If I've missed anyone out, please let me know. But yeah, they definitely had a bit of a difficult night tonight. Rompu he's usually there or thereabouts with the pace, but tonight just hasn't seemed to be there. Obviously we've seen Lightblade up there at the start. He's currently running in P8, so a decent showing from Lightblade, but he was right there in the beginning. He was battling it out with Jonathan Reed. We saw those two joined at the hip, but Lightblade picked up a drive through for track limits early on. So I believe it's just those 3, Lightblade, Didi and Rompu. And Didi also one of the drivers tonight who doesn't seem to have the usual pace that we've become used to seeing from him. Tom Peaker there in 11th place has still got a drive through to serve, so he'll have to come in and get that done as soon as he can. Maroon very close on the back of Credeo right now. Look at this, these two very good battle going on, as we see there. That's Credeo into the pits, so that kind of aborts that little battle between them two. Pit window's open now, so drivers can come in and make their mandatory pit stop without having to worry about coming in and doing another one later on. This will count as their stop, so if they come in now they can get it done and out of the way. And obviously if you come in and get it done out of the way nice and early, then you ain't got to stress about it afterwards. You ain't got to worry, you ain't got to think, oh, I've got that on my mind. You can just get it done, then it's out of the way after that. So we'll have to see who opts to come in and get it done nice and early, and who longs it out and tries to get away from it. But we see Djphil there in the pits, and Tom Peaker coming in and getting that drive-through done and out of the way as well. Grideo, as we said earlier on, already been in and made that pit stop. But KD down to the end of the back straight at the moment. His gap over Jonathan 5 seconds, so he's gained a little bit over these last couple of laps as KD. Our airline pilot and reserve here at Motive currently doing his usual thing, jumping into these regular seasoned veterans and blowing them all away. But Jonathan's keeping tabs at him so far, and they've seemed pretty evenly matched, but just bit by bit KD is putting the gap out at the moment. So Djphil, Didi, G Taskowski and Zeynalov all in. I think Zeynalov came in for a pit stop. I don't think he's serving his drive-through as far as I can see. Yeah, he is. He's stopping in the box, so Zeynalov's going to do his drive-through maybe on the next lap or the one after. Possibly, not sure. But Grideo's done his pit stop, as has Djphil, as has Didi. And Maroon coming into the pits now to make his pit stop as well. Gap between KD and Jonathan just 5.4 seconds, so it's not too much at this point. And Jonathan's still going to be very close to KD, especially once the pit window's done. If KD has a bit of a sketchy stop, then we could be seeing Jonathan very much in contention here in this race. Here we are then, guys, halfway through the race here, halfway through the pit window as well, for round 5 of Motive Racing's GT3 Championship on ACC here at Paul Ricard. Apologies for the slightly below par commentary tonight. I've really had quite a rough few days and not feeling the best at all. Last sort of 3-4 days I've kind of felt very under the weather, so yeah, I mean, Friday night did some commentary on the F1 for our F1 league and was out of breath after about 2 minutes, so I consider tonight to be quite a considerable improvement on that, but yeah, still not the best. Jonathan looks like he's into the pits to make his pit stop. The race leader is in now. Lord Ash Wilson now up into P2 with most of the field having completed their mandatory stops. Lord Ash Wilson and Lightblade still got to come in and get those stops done. OPT Funny Guy, it appears, has also not made his stoppers. Oh no, Zaloba, I think it's gone off. No, it's not Zaloba. Who is it? Who was that? Off to the side. Oh, it was I'm Such a Nub there, making a little mistake as the leaders just came through to put a lap on him. But Jonathan is on his way out of the pit box now, coming down towards the end of the pit lane. And it would appear that Gtaskowski's picked up a drive-through penalty, so he becomes the latest victim of the wrath of the stewards tonight. They really are taking out their frustrations on these drivers here. Many drivers have fallen into the fishnets here that the stewards have left. Obviously Paul Ricard does tempt you to do that, really, doesn't it? Because it's you've got so much runoff everywhere and the walls are so far away through the corners that you really do feel like you can just take advantage of a few track limits, but the game does punish you for them. They throw temptation into your path, try and force you to carry out your instincts, and then obviously slap you with the book when you go and do exactly what your temptations lead you to do. But Gtaskowski, the latest to pick up a drive-through penalty in this race. Lord Ash Wilson, your current race leader, but he does still need to come in and make that pit stop at some point. Katie will reassume the race lead. One big story about the pit window, though, is that Jonathan Reed has closed the gap down to 1.7 seconds to Katie. So these two obviously net 1 and 2 in this race. And yeah, it's looking like this could be race on for the lead here. Evan in the pits, so he's making his pit stop. Obviously that's not his drive-through, that is now his actual pit stop that will count towards his official pit stop. Gtaskowski coming into the pits to make that drive-through. He's already made his pit stop, he's just serving his drive-through now. So Lord Ash Wilson and Lightblade also into the pits here at the end of lap 17. That will allow Katie to reassume the race lead, which he had beforehand. Jonathan Reed, though, has dropped off of Katie a little bit over the course of this lap. Now 2.8 between those two. So Katie's clearly responded to Jonathan getting the pace down throughout the pit window. Jonathan's got work to do, but he's definitely made gains throughout his pit window so far. Quedeo and Maroon still very close. Quedeo currently behind Maroon, though. Maroon's in that net third place as Lord Ash Wilson has just exited the pits, and now Lightblade has just made that pit stop and he's off and on his way as we speak. So that's all 19 cars still in this race have made their pit stops. Maroon and Quedeo are still very close, 0.6 of a second between those two. Katie gained another 2 tenths on Jonathan coming through that first sector there. The gap's now 3 seconds between those two, battling over the race lead. And Katie gained another 2 tenths there coming through the middle sector, so clearly on a bit of a roll at the moment is our race leader. I want to just say another big apology to everybody watching for my very subpar commentary tonight. Really not feeling very well at all, so just trying to stick with it and give it my best, but it's a bit of a struggle to say the least. But Scuderia Paul currently running within 0.6 of a second of the race leader. No, sorry, not the race leader, Lightblade even. The man in P7, what am I talking about? He's currently running within 0.6 of a second of Lightblade at this point. Katie's gap to Jonathan going up a bit, 3.5 seconds. I was thinking of Katie and Jonathan there. Jonathan within 3.5 seconds of the race leader, Katie. Goodness me. Lightblade's still running in 7th place. He's got Scuderia Paul closing into him a little bit now. Big gap between Lord Ash Wilson and Lightblade. Lord Ash Wilson was fighting it out with Evan before Evan had his drive through, but now with that drive through it's kind of dropped Evan out of the equation a little bit. Evan's been in that pit box for a while here, so I wonder what's going on here. I think Evan may have called it a day. I'm not 100% sure, but it looks like he may have thrown in the towel here. Doesn't look like he's going anywhere fast at this point. Maroon and Quadeo are still pretty close, 0.7 of a second between these two at the moment. Looks like he's almost as close as he's been throughout the course of this race here on Maroon. Maroon's going a little bit wide there, coming through that right hander at the end of the back straight, but still as you were between these two. Pretty sure Evans called it a day. He's not moving, he hasn't moved for a while, so I think he's retired from the race. What a shame there for Evan, who was running in P6 for a while in this race. Looked like he was going to be having a great scrap with Lord Ash Wilson, but drive-through penalties have unfortunately put paid to his chances of getting a good result here in this race. Katie's now pulling out the gap to Jonathan, just over 4 seconds between these two, who are probably going to fight it out for the race win, but at this point Katie looks like he's just got enough to be able to bring home the W. Jonathan's going to need to really push in these last 20 minutes, the final third of this race, if he's going to be able to take a win and make it 4 in a row here for the GT3s. I think Katie is going to end Jonathan's run of wins. Maroon's still keeping Quadeo behind him by 0.3 of a second at the moment. ST12 a long way behind him, 5th. As we see Lord Ash Wilson there just putting a lap on I'm Such a Nub. Not I'm Such a Nub, Zalova. Lightblade there just ahead of a back marker there. He's got 4 seconds back to Scuderia Paul. He's a further 3 seconds ahead of Spuzz, running in 9th place. John Jig there 5 seconds behind Spuzz in 10th. There's deedeeTKU in 11th, 3.5 seconds behind John Jig. Rompu in the background there in 12th place, 3.5 seconds off the back of Deedee. Tom Peaker a little way behind them in P13. G Tazkowski almost 10 seconds behind him in 14th. And we were just with Zalova a few moments ago. He's 9 positions behind Lord Ash Wilson, but he is just behind him on the track, having just been lapped by him. And Nilsson there running in P16, a second and a half behind Zalova. I'm Such a Nub in 17th place at the moment. Evan and OPT Funny Guy both in the pits. Evan retired a couple of laps ago. OPT Funny Guy retired 5 laps ago. So those guys will not be picking up a classified position in this race. But Cordeo's got ahead of Maroon here up into 3rd place. This an interesting one now as this battle really does develop. Cordeo those found a way through. He's been on the back of Maroon for a little while now. These two have swapped positions a couple of times over the course of this race, so this one's certainly not over. As this could go down to the wire between these two. They're a long way off of the 2 leaders though, Katie and Jonathan. Katie's continuing to pull out the gap to Jonathan, 6 seconds now between these two. I'm wondering if Jonathan maybe didn't put fresh tyres on around a track like this, Paul Ricard, you really do need to, because the tyre wear is enormous. But Jonathan maybe was just making a roll of the dice, thinking if I jump KD in the pits, maybe I might be able to keep him behind me, but it hasn't worked out. KD's almost a second a lap quicker than Jonathan at this point in the race, and honestly, if Cordero keeps closing at the rate he is, he could be on the back of Jonathan. I think Cordero's gaining about half a second a lap on Jonathan, so yeah, Jonathan needs to watch out for that, because Cordero's going to be coming at him in the final part of this race, that is for sure. Maroon currently dropping off at the back of Cordero. Cordero, since getting that move done up into third, has pulled out that gap to Maroon. Looks like Nilsson on the back of Saloba, 8/10 between those two, battling over 15th spot. Noticing there we have lost OPT Funny Guy from the race, so that's him obviously done for the session. For some reason I always read OPT Funny Guy's name before. I don't know if this is subconscious, right, because I think I've always said his name right on the commentary, but like in my head I've always seen his name and I've always thought of it as OTP rather than OPT. I don't know whether I've ever said that accidentally, but one thing about him is I've always wondered if his name, and I know this makes no sense because obviously it's OPT, not OTP, but I've always thought to myself, one-time password Funny Guy. I don't know why, but like it's just like a subconscious thing. Whenever I look at his name, I always think one-time password. Bit of a pointless fact there. Don't know why I said that. But Nilsson still within 4/10 of Saloba at the moment. These two continuing to battle it out over P15. Lord Ash Wilson within a second of SD12 Dash right now. Cordero gapping Maroon as we go on, and Cordero's bringing the gap down to Jonathan. Jonathan really struggling on those tyres now. He clearly didn't change tyres through the pit window, and that's costing him at this stage in the race. You've got Tom Pica there in the background, who I don't know if he's just been lapped or if he's starting to close in on him, but yeah, he's starting to lose pace at the moment, is Jonathan, and Cordero will be on him if he doesn't pick it up a little bit. I imagine we've probably got about 8 or 9 laps left in this race. Probably about 9 laps left in this race, so 8.5 seconds over 9 laps. I'd say that it's more than enough time for Cordero to bring that gap down. If Jonathan makes a mistake on these tyres, which are going to be struggling at this point, then it's only going to invite Cordero in even more. But Jonathan has got some good pace around here. He rolled the dice, didn't he? I mean, he knew that he had a chance of jumping KD if he didn't change tyres, and I'm sure that if he could have found himself ahead of KD after the pit window, that would have put himself in a position where he could have tried to defend, but it hasn't quite worked out, and the ultimate result is that he finds himself a little way off of the leader at this point and not really in a position where he can fight back. But it was worth a try for him, and he just needs to manage this out and keep that gap to Cordero and stop himself from losing P2, because it'd be a good result for him. He'd continue to pull out that gap to the reigning champion and to everybody else in the standings. Jonathan obviously the championship leader for this season so far, and championship leader by quite some ways. He sits on 232 points at the top of the standings so far. Spuz is in second in the standings on 158, so he's 74 points behind him. Reigning champion Quideo sat on 150 points, 82 points behind Jonathan. So Jonathan's got a commanding lead at the top of the standings. He knows he doesn't have to get wins every round. Obviously Cady is a reserve here at Motive. He doesn't always get to race. He's an airline pilot, he's always travelling, so despite usually winning most of the races he takes part in, he's not always going to be a threat. So Jonathan's key to this championship is going to be consistency, that is for sure. And there we are, ladies and gentlemen, there are the current standings for this season coming into this round. So obviously Jonathan leads the championship by 74 points over Spuz. Spuz not having the right round tonight at all, so currently down in P8, just behind, well, 15 seconds behind Lightblade. He's got Scuderia Paul actually on the back of him here, as we see Spuz and Paul battling it out. They're coming through that double right-hander at the end of the back straight, but Spuz has held on for 8th place for the time being, but he's second in the title race, but this is not going to be the round that he would have needed. Quideo will leapfrog him up into P2 in the standings, Rompu not having the round either. But at this rate, Jonathan will extend that championship gap to Quideo, but he is on very worn out tyres at this point, so Quideo is going to be going hell for leather at the moment to try and overhaul that gap to Jonathan. It's going to be pivotal for Quideo at this point, because he knows that this could be a big opportunity for him to bring that points gap down in his efforts to obviously retain his title that he's got here in the GT3s at Motive. Jonathan on a 3-race winning streak, so it's going to be a bit of a buzzkill for him. Maybe his roll of the dice to try and get the win could backfire. It could even lose him second place and lose points to Quideo. But we'll have to see how it all pans out. Long way to go yet, that is for sure. Just noticing here on the timing screen that Spuzz has pulled away from Scooter here, Paul now, and Paul's got heavy pressure from Djphil here, only 4 tenths between these two, so could be that Djphil's now bringing himself into that fight here as he's really hassling Paul. Paul getting very deep through that corner there. See what Djphil can do coming down the back straight. Does the Ferrari have the legs here on the Bentley? It's going to pick up a lovely toe here coming all the way down the straight, but is Djphil close enough to be able to make that slipstream work? Coming into the braking zone, looks like it's going to be pretty close between these two. See, they come up towards the corner. The corner's going to come just in time there for Paul, and Djphil not able to get himself up into the position for the time being. Pull very wide. Djphil might be able to seize on that. I think Djphil's going to get up to 9th place there, just as we were rejoining the action, guys. Djphil managing to get himself up into 9th place. Paul is making a big mistake there, coming out the exit, turn 5, and it's given Djphil that position which he's been fighting for a little while. Paul's going to have the slipstream though, coming up towards this right hand at the end of the back straight. Is he going to be able to give him the instant reply here? I think the braking zone's going to come just in time there for Djphil. Paul hasn't really got the top end. JR was saying earlier, the Bentley just doesn't seem to have the speed over the Ferrari. As we've just lost the driver there, Evans left the session. Now then guys, final lap of the race here at Paul Ricard for round 5 of the GT3s on ACC. Motive on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Katie out in front has led this one the whole way, started on pole position, had Jonathan Reed giving him a little bit of a headache at some points during the race. The gap was around 5 seconds when they came in for the pit window. Jonathan rolled the dice, elected not to change tyres in the hope that it would help him to jump Katie and maybe hold him up if he got ahead of him, but it didn't quite work out. He came out 1.8 seconds behind Katie, and since then on fresher tyres, Katie has driven off into the sunset. He's about to put a lap here on the number 31 Porsche of Rompu, but he's coming through the final few corners. Jonathan gave it everything, and he is going to hold on ahead of Credeo by the looks of it. He's got 5 seconds back to him, so the GT3 champion will continue to lose points to the championship leader. Jonathan Reed is obviously coming to this with a 74-point lead in the championship. He will extend that over Credeo. Credeo will move up into second in the standings, but for sure it's going to be hard pushed to retain his title this season. Maroon's driven a good race, only 5 seconds off of a podium, running in fourth. Big honourable mention to Lord Ash Wilson in the top 5 when you consider the fact that he's a reserve tonight. But Katie's coming up towards the line. It's going to be another win for our airline pilot here tonight. He takes the win at Paul Ricard. The checkered flag is out, and Katie is your winner in the number 737 Audi. Brilliant drive tonight from Katie, once again exerting his dominance on the Motive Racing channel. Great stuff. Congratulations, mate. What a drive. Jonathan Reed comes over to take second place. Just under 15 seconds the gap in the end. Jonathan gave it a good go, but came up second best, and his three race winning streak is over. Credeo comes over to take the final podium spot. Maroon in fourth place finishes the race there. Lord Ash Wilson is going to come through the final few corners. Good result for Lord Ash Wilson. He jumped in tonight as a late stand in reserve. Actually commented on the stream on Facebook. We stream on Facebook as well as YouTube at the same time, simultaneously, and he commented on the Facebook stream and said, look, it's the only chance I can join next week's race. And I popped up to him and said to him, you know what, come in tonight if you want. And he jumped in very late notice and has managed to come over in P5, so you've got to really take your hat off to him. He's risen to the occasion brilliantly. Lord Ash Wilson, 5th place, what a drive. SD12 Dash comes over to take 6th place in the race. Spuzz is coming through the final few corners. It's going to be a 7th place here for Spuzz. Lightblade's finished in 11th, a lap down. Rompu 12th, Tom Pika 13th. Spuzz coming in towards the final corner now. Came into this second in the championship standings. He's going to lose second place in the standings to Credeo, but he comes over to take a reasonably strong 7th place finish here. John Jig in 8th, crosses the line. Scuderia Paul is going to hold on ahead of deedeeTKU for 9th, just by the skin of his teeth. I'm Such a Nub is going to finish the race in the pits by the looks of it. So I think that's that then for the session. That's that for the race, and yeah, that is that's your lot then, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just have a look. Let's have a look at the standings for the race. In fact, they should come up on the screen in a minute, I would assume. But yeah, brilliant reaction there from tonight's race here at Motive. Katie taking the win ahead of Jonathan. Credeo in 3rd. There are the official classification for the race, so we'll just take a quick look at that and then we'll pop that up on the screen for everybody to look at. So Katie takes the win ahead of Jonathan Reed. Credeo 3rd. Maroon, a strong finish for him in 4th place. Lord Ash Wilson 5th with SD12-6. Buzz 7th. John Jig 8th. Scooter Paul in 9th. deedeeTKU completing the top 10. Lightblade in 11th. Not the race for him after that early drive-through penalty really cost him some time. Rompu in 12th. Tom Pika 13th. Still over 14th. Nilsson in 15th. G. Taskowski finishes in 16th place. I'm Such a Nub, Evan, Funny Guy and Morphy all retired from the race before the end, so will not be classified in the official classification. But big thank you to everybody who joined us live on the Motive Racing channel. If you enjoyed the action that you saw tonight, then be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the Motive Racing channel if you want to get involved in the on-track action. Then be sure to go to motiveracing.com and join the Discord server. As I say, it's great action here at Motive. exclusive to the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. So if you're on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, come along and see what we're about. And if you want to check out some more action here at Motive shortly, then be sure to join us over on Project Cars 2. We'll have a stream on for the GTEs pretty shortly. But from us, it's have a great evening, and we will see you in the next one, guys.
Sometimes and I can't seem to find a light between the walls I built for myself right in my mind. And then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. Now when I got you, it's all gonna be alright. Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you and I, just you and I. Only you can put my fire out. You can turn it all around. You can lift me off the ground.
Chromebooks are a different way to laptop, starting with the everything button, so you can find anything the moment you need it.
Trying hard not to go out of my mind. And all I need right now is for you to stay the night. But if you keep saying that you've got to leave, then I'm gonna be alright. As long as you tell me that we ain't running out of time. Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you and I, just you and I. Only you can put my fire out. You can turn it all around. And you can lift me off the ground. So we can fly again. So we can fly again. Sometimes and I can't seem to find a light between the walls I built for myself right in my mind. And then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. Now when I got you, it's all gonna be alright. Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you and I, just you and I. Only you can put my fire out. You can turn it all around. You can lift me off the ground. So we can fly again. So we can fly again. to stay the night. But if you keep saying that you've got to leave, then I'm gonna be alright. As long as you tell me that we ain't running out of time. Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you and I. Just you and I. Only you can put my fire out. You can turn it all around. And you can lift me off the ground. So we can fly again. 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 We can fly again. I get lost sometimes and I can't seem to find a light between the walls I built for myself right in my mind. And then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. And now when I got you, it's all gonna be alright. Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you and I. Just you and I. Only you can put my fire out. You can turn it all around. You can lift me off the ground. So we can fly again. 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 I've been trying hard not to go out of my mind. And all I need right now is for you to stay the night. But if you keep saying that you've got to leave, then I'm gonna be alright. As long as you tell me that we ain't running out of time. Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you and I. Just you and I. Only you can put my fire out. You can turn it all around. And you can lift me off the ground. So we can fly again. 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 We can fly again. I get lost sometimes and I can't seem to find a light between the myself right in my mind. And then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. And now, when I got you, it's all gonna be alright. Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you